Okay, so we can see here that the coolant temperature is now 166. I'm going to make sure that all of the post-start and the after-start and the warm-up enrichment has gone away. And now we can actually take a look at evaluating what is going on with our acceleration enrichment. So what I'm going to do here is actually data log it. I'm going to blip the throttle here at idle, just blip it a couple small, tiny throttle changes, and then 1 or 2 large throttle changes so we can evaluate what that looks like and what we potentially might need to edit and change on the lower scale or lower end of things. Then I'm going to drive it and also take a look at just doing some small throttle movements and then 1 or 2 large throttle stabs as I'm driving, just to evaluate this. Now, a few things about this. What I'm looking for is that I have instant throttle response and that the throttle is nice and crisp. That's the first thing. If we're finding we have kind of lackluster throttle response, you might have too much or too little fuel. Typically, it's going to be too little fuel that produces that kind of sluggish feeling when you hit the throttle. We'll learn how to potentially correct that as we go through here. We'll see what happens. We'll also need to be mindful of what the actual air fuel is doing when we're hitting and blipping the throttle. We don't want to find that it's overly rich, because if it's overly rich, we're just going to be pumping excess fuel into our engine for no reason. Now, if you're driving around and you're constantly moving your throttle and having your acceleration enrichment getting triggered, that'll be a hit to your economy. You're also going to find that your fuel will probably be, your oil might be fuel soaked because you're constantly going to be running rich and doing those momentary bursts of fuel coming in as you're driving. It may not foul the spark plugs out, it may not cause any kind of issues there, but your fuel will definitely absorb that over time, or your oil, I'm sorry, will definitely absorb the fuel over time, which could then wash out the bearings and cause internal engine wear problems. We want to avoid that. Let's just make sure we're trying to get this as crisp and as precise as possible. Now, the air fuel will still go rich, but it may not go 10 to 1 air fuel. You might want to have it at 12 or 13 to 1 air fuel. That's a bit more appropriate air fuel to see under tip-in conditions. So let's go ahead and try this real quick. So again, I'm just going to go to data log so we can log this and actually play it back and take a look. And I'm going to blip my throttle. Now, looking through my sensor tabs down here, we should be able to find one that's going to be related to acceleration enrichment. So we're going to see here that we have our map rate of change, we have our throttle rate of change, coolant temperature, injector pulse width. We can just kind of keep track of what that's doing as I'm blipping the throttle here. So we're logging right now. Let me blip it, just a couple small blips, a little blip. Let's watch what happens to the air fuel. So a little blip. It goes pretty rich right there. Let me blip it again. A little blip. That's probably too rich, too much tip-in fuel or acceleration enrichment being applied here. Let me go in and hit the throttle really, really hard. Let's go ahead and just hit a big one. There's a big one right there. Let's give it a second. Now, it has reasonable throttle response. That's not really a concern. Air fuel might be a concern a little bit. So what I'm going to do right now, since we have that data captured, I'm going to drive it real quick. It's going to bring it up to 3,000 on the dyno and just give it 2 little blips and then maybe 1 big blip so we can take a look at what the air fuel looks like as we're driving. So there is definitely distinctive zones of essentially off idle driving or off idle revving, and then actually when you're driving, going in and having your tip-in events occur. So put it into gear here. Third, and let me just drive it real quick. So little blip right there. Do another one, little blip. Let me do a large blip. There's a big one. There's another big one. It looks like it's way too rich here. Let me go ahead and put it in neutral real quick. And now let's go shut it off and let's just play it back so we can look at the data. Go ahead and key on. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Looks like it's prompting me to save. Let's go to Nova folder, and we'll call this AE Testing 1, Acceleration Enrichment Testing 1. And let's go here and open up that data log in our data logger software here, the logging software to review. Okay, so we might have a page here dedicated to acceleration enrichment tuning. Yep, right here we got one. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up real quick. So we're seeing that we have these blips down here at the bottom. There's 2 small blips, 2 large blips here, and then when I'm actually driving, there's 2 small blips, 2 large blips. Let's focus in off idle here and pay attention to our area there.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.